Now the last one. Now this can be, because of this, there can be a question on State Disaster Response Fund. So under the Disaster Management Act, we are having this National Disaster Response Fund as well as State Disaster Response Fund. So the fourth measure is in relation to State Disaster Response Fund. Normally, before coming to this topic, okay, normally under the Disaster Management Act, the sender support the state. So majority of this fund is coming from central transfer to the states. Majority of this fund, it's a state disaster response fund, but it is funded mainly by whom? By the sender. On the recommendation of the finance committee, so how the sender will transfer, how much each state will get under this fund is normally decided by the finance commission, and annually in 2 equal installments, the sender transfer that money to the state to this particular fund, and the state utilizes for what purposes? Only for disaster response. And the Disaster Management Act have mentioned what are those disasters. In your disaster management class, your faculty will discuss that. You know that the natural disasters and other related disasters. Okay, so based on the notified disasters under that act, only the state can use this fund. So normally, see, this portion is not there in the economic survey. But why I am bringing this for you to, since it is a current affair and since it is mentioned in the economic survey, you should know about this fund. As a current affair, you know. Okay, so we know that there are 2 categories of states are there: general category states and special category states. And to this fund, the sender only transfer a majority of the fund. So for the special category states, 90% of this fund is transferred by the sender based on the Finance Commission recommendation. For special category states, they include northeastern states and the hilly states of Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, etc. Okay, even the Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory is also coming under this. Okay, now for other general category states, this SCSS special category states, general category G, don't get for general categories, remaining states, 75% of the SDR allocation, so 75% of this fund allocation is transferred by the center. So you will understand that. So normally this fund is mainly funded by, that is State Disaster Response Fund is mainly funded by the sender. Now we will see that what is the current affair and what is mentioned in the economic survey. Economic survey says that the central government have come with a special one-time dispensation. Okay, special one-time dispensation. The central government has given a special one-time dispensation to treat COVID-19 as a notified disaster. Okay, so central government have come up with a notification. So COVID-19 is not there in the listed disasters. See, if you want to use this fund for COVID-19, it has to be notified as a disaster. The central government have notified COVID-19 as a notified disaster so that the sender can fund the state under this fund. Okay, so the sender have, under a special one-time dispensation, they have treated COVID-19 as a notified disaster so that they can provide assistance. Center can provide assistance under the State Disaster Response Fund. Okay, and to strengthen the states to deal with the pandemic, sender has released. Okay, so very early, the sender released. I told you, sender normally releases 2 installments in a year, but the first installment was released in April itself. So nearly 11,092 crore was transferred by the sender to the state under the first installment under the State Disaster Response Fund. See, normally there are many disasters are there. Okay, so you had seen that recently Uttarakhand. See, so like that many you are not, if you are reading newspaper, floods, cyclones, these are all happening. It's because God will not say that, okay, now COVID-19 is there, let me stop all other disasters. It's happening everywhere. Okay, so this fund is to meet that disaster also. But since In April, COVID-19 have been a COVID-19 related issue. To deal with that, we have to take many measures. We have seen that many measures the center and the state have taken. So you have to link it that, okay, to deal with this. And once this COVID, now COVID-19 is under control. But what was the situation in April? We were fully like in jail now, at home, home arrest. Everybody was in house arrest. Yes or no? We never ever imagined. Do you imagine when the new year started in 1st January 2021, we are going to, the entire 2020 gone now. So it's one of the rarest event has happened, okay. So anyway, okay, try to understand. So in the April 2020, first installment was released to deal with, and now this, since the center have notified COVID-19 as a disaster, now they can use this fund for expenditure on, you require many infrastructure, you require many instruments, okay, new hospitals, new facilities for the COVID-19 patients, ambulance, then many equipments, medicines, everything was required. Na? So this fund was, you can use it only if it is notified as a disaster. Okay, so first installment was released. Then later in September, what the state have done is the state limit in September, the center have announced that, okay. In September said that, okay, the state limit for spending the Sdrf during the financial year was raised to, out of what this says that, okay, out of the total fund, which the center will be transferring to the state under the state disaster response fund. Out of that, 50% of that total fund, which will be transferred to the state, can be used for COVID pandemic, to deal with COVID pandemic. So by increasing the limit to 50%, what does it mean? By increasing the limit to 50% means out of the total fund each state have received for the financial year 2021 under the state disaster response fund, they can use 50% of that for what? In order to support in containment measures of COVID-19, including measures for quarantine, sample collection and screening, and procurement of essential equipment or labs for the response to COVID-19. So these things you should know, okay. First, under this measure, COVID-19 have been notified as a disaster. The first installment was released quickly, and it also enhanced the spending limit under this fund up to 50% to deal with COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so these are the things being discussed. Okay, also economic survey have brought all those issues together.